There's times in life where everything inside of you can change and everything outside of you looks exactly the same. It's how you perceive it. And if you don't feel like that's ever possible, then you can always change the way that you're looking at it. And if you cannot change the way that you're looking at it, it means that you're attached to the meaning you've assigned it.
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. Joining us today is the founder of the intuitive practice and creator of Portal to Self, a signature offering that guides individuals through transformation with clarity, release, and soul level integration. She also founded Iwa and Isla, an international holistic brand that has enriched communities and supported conscious living worldwide. Her spiritual gifts allow her to perceive energy as language and patterns, an unseen architecture that quietly shapes choices, relationships, and ways of being. So, guys, help me in welcoming the spiritual teacher and transformational guide, the one and only Ashmita Arora.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we have been chatting, before we started the recording. So I'm just curious, like, have you always been aware of your spiritual gifts, or was it like a defining moment that sparked your spiritual awakening?
Yeah, well, you know what? There was definitely a defining moment that I had, but the spiritual gifts were always there. We just don't seem to notice them as much. When it became more clear to me when I had that moment, then I look back and I can see the connection that I had and the synchronicities that were always playing out throughout my life. But for me personally, was a moment when I was actually meditating and I heard a pop at the top of my head, and it was just right in my crown chakra, and it was just a pop. And after that, it's like the floodgates opened, and all the downloads and different dimensions and frequencies and all these things just started coming through. And so after that time, well, that time was, it was a little bit scary too, because once you kind of open that gate, unknowingly, it wasn't done purposefully, but you start to kind of think, am I going crazy? You know, how can I connect? And this is something that we deal with as intuitives, is also being able to differentiate, hey, is that real, or is that, are we really going crazy? And in the point in time it happened for me was postpartum, so I was thinking it was some sort of postpartum psychosis. and and it wasn't. I was very accurate in the messages coming through when I started sharing it. But yeah, for me it was definitely that one defining meditation, that moment that happened, everything just started to open up.
Has it always been one of your goals or intentions to become an intuitive or a psychic, as someone else would say?
I mean, I think, like a lot of people, that sounded fun in nature, but it really wasn't something that you jot down on career day at school when they ask you, what do you want to be? And you go, I want to be a psychic intuitive and talk to people that have passed on. It wasn't something like that. I've always had an inkling or calling towards more of esoteric concepts and more occult style fascination and TV shows and things like that. Did I think that it would be in the realm of my reality that it is today? Absolutely not. I did not think that that type of lifestyle, that type of living is possible. And now looking back, you know, the answers were always there in front of us. We just didn't notice, because there's also so much noise in our day-to-day lives, and there's a lot of different control and different attachments that we have, and that blocks our intuitive nature.
So why do you think you know, that meditation, like it was so easy? Like, why did it happen for you?
I think I actually went through quite a bit in my personal life as well, where I was very stressed out. I had a lot of health issues that were not able to be explained. I would say, looking back now, I can go through my life and see instances where I was trying to do everything in such a perfect manner, try to check off all the boxes, and things just didn't make sense. One of them being, for instance, school. I I would, in my head, would have loved to be the perfect student. In on paper, absolutely not. I could not stand going. I just there was it was almost like this repulsion that I had to going to class. And that just kind of played out in my adult life too. But on the flip side, when I was doing everything in business and wanting to hustle, but then I kept getting sick. So it was almost like I couldn't connect the dots. I know I have the drive, and in one instance, I just couldn't get myself to do it with school. And then in business, when I wanted to do the hustle and I started doing it, I would get sick, or there would be outside factors that would affect me. Now looking back, I can see that had I gotten that traditional level of success, I would not have gone into this spiritual role. I would not have been able to help other people identify their gifts and get through their transitions. So I had to go through different things in life and try it out and gain a lesson from it, try it out, gain a lesson from it. And that was kind of like my training for what I do now. And majority of the clients that I have coming through to me as well, it's just like a reflection of myself that I'm helping through what I've gone through. So it's interesting. I can't say why. I can say that if I did have that optimal type of lifestyle where everything that I aim to do panned out for me, I would be less inclined to to nurture the spiritual side because I'd be comfortable. I'd simply be comfortable and I wouldn't have a need. I wouldn't have gotten to a point in my life where I felt so sick. I felt like, hey, there should be more to life. I'm so young. I'm a mom. I want to do things. Why am I constantly not feeling well? Why can't I do this? Why is there all these things? And had I not had those issues, I wouldn't have cared because everything was kind of working out the way it was supposed to, right?
No, I still can relate to that. Like being young and still haven't achieved all the things that you want out of life. Still trying to do everything and trying to be perfect, and and still struggling and wondering why. Oh, there must be more. Why am I not? So, and of course, this is the work that you do today to help people transform life's challenges into doorways rather than obstacles. I'm sure many people are struggling in silence, and or people just experience a loss, or even burnout. How can our struggles truly become a doorway to our transformation and empowerment? Like, what would be the practical ways of doing it?
Yeah, see, burnout is huge right now. What you just mentioned, grief is always huge. It's always huge. And this is a very multi-layer question because they have to go, there's steps. You have to gain clarity in order to be able to transform anything. Without that clarity, you can't transform. And the pain point has to hurt. It has to hurt to a certain level for you to actually want to initiate having change in your life. Because there could be two people say that it's a weight thing. Somebody's morbidly obese and they're struggling every single day. They are more inclined to change their habits and want to get better if they have that need inside of them than somebody that's just wanting to fit into a dress for something and they only have like 5 or 10 pounds and they don't care that much. They're not going to put as much weight into it. So they really need to get to that place of almost like a pain. Now, the reason that a lot of us are struggling, a lot of people are mental struggles are huge right now, this mental health and all these things. It's meant to contract you because you can't expand without the contraction. It has to go hand in hand. The more contraction that you have, the more light that there is waiting to come through. And so a lot of people are also struggling with, say that there's something, some sort of a betrayal, for instance, or a divorce or something like that, and you're so angry and you go, maybe one day I can forgive that person. In my practice, I know that if they get to that point of saying I can forgive you, then they haven't truly transformed. Because when they do get to that point of real transformation, they look back and they say, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for that pain. Thank you for what I went through. Because if I hadn't gone through that, I cannot see the light that I'm in right now. So, the biggest takeaway would be to understand that if you have pain in your life, know that there is a reason. There's always a reason. It has to contract you to allow the light to come through. Now, if you want to stay in that contracted state, if you want to keep going deeper and deeper, you can, until eventually, whether it's in this lifetime or the next, you just combust and you implode, and then the light comes through, and in a very dark night of the soul type of way, or something of that nature, or tower moments, as they say. But every lesson that we go through is meant to teach us something. It's just, are we, how are we previewing it? Because nothing is good and nothing is bad. It's just the meaning that we assign to these experiences. So if we've been taught to experience loss as something that's bad, that person is gone. Is the hidden truth perhaps that they just evolve in a spiritual manner? And only because we can not see beyond ourselves, our physical reality, then we think it's some sort of a loss. And in reality, with our physical bodies, you're all the way over in Singapore, I'm in Vancouver. There's a physical distance. For me to come see you would take a plane and many hours. When somebody goes and their spirit is there, there's no
Mm.
space. There's no time. We're just there. We're closer than we think. So that's important to know, is when we are grieving the loss of somebody, one, when you're grieving them, you feel their memory and you're thinking about them. We've been taught that's grief. That's just them being close by. They're right there. They're with you. That version of them is there. It's just the way that we've understood these events. It's just the programming that we've put in. It's really a celebration. It's like a, imagine that somebody's graduating something, but we don't understand that they're graduating. So we start mourning them, and we start mourning, oh my God, there's no more high school. There's no more high school. What's going to happen? If we don't know that, hey, maybe they're going to go to this college. And if we didn't understand that, we'd say, oh my God, they're done with school now. What? Meanwhile, they're taking steps to get into something that they want to get into, or, you know. So it's a level of understanding, it's a level of allowing yourself to assign meaning to things. If you don't like how it makes you feel, then change how you're perceiving it.
Yeah, I love that. That's really key because I like how you say there's nothing is good, nothing is bad. It's just how we perceive it. It's just how we assign meaning to it. And I want to go back to something I love your answer to my questions. But let's talk about the first step, which is clarity, because I think this is where most people get stuck. Like we just don't have clarity. How do we then go to the next step, which is to change, right? Initiate change. So for someone who is not doesn't have the answers in moments of confusion or even inner conflicts, how can we begin to access clarity for ourselves?
Yeah, there's many different ways. One clear thing that I tell my clients too is, for 1 month, everything that you do in your life, I want you to ask yourself before you do it, is it out of fear, guilt, or obligation? If it's out of fear, guilt, and obligation, don't do it. That could be a text message. That could be driving a parent to a doctor's appointment. That could be anything, going out for the evening because you promised somebody that you're going to go for dinner. If you're feeling fear, guilt, and obligation, do not do it. And it's really interesting because it's hard.
Mm,
You would think you're not living in those states. And why do I say fear, guilt, and obligation? I say it because those are all things that contract you. That's what gets you stuck. That's what gets you in that mind frame. Guaranteed, any problem that you have right now is rooted in that. It's guaranteed that that is where it goes down to. When I said actually taking a parent to a doctor's appointment, okay, so I'm going to take them because I'm a good daughter, right? But I'm tired. I have A, B, and C going on. I promised them. You did. Is there a way that you can get some help? Is there a way that you can do it in a manner that doesn't make you feel like you're just doing it out of obligation? Because there's a lot of people that can take their parent and they feel very joyous about it. Like I want to do it. It's just it's an extension of me. They're not feeling it out of a negative state. It's coming out very naturally for them. It's not out of the fear, the guilt, and the obligation. Now, this to really understand this is the multi level, is you have to understand who and what you are. Because you have to understand that you are not a girl that's here, that's a daughter, that's, say, a sister, that's a wife, or whatever have you. You're just here as an individual to experience life and expand. And that expansion is going to take some reprogramming. It's going to tear away. So that's what I mean by nothing is really good or bad, because if you perceive it in one way and you say, I'm just being a good daughter, I have to take my parents, even if it's hard on me, even if I'm tired, even if I feel all these things, I'm obligated to make this happen for them. Yeah, in a cultural way, if you weren't doing that, they'd say that's not right. You should be driving your parents. They've done so much for you.
Yeah.
You should be taking care of them and put yourself second, put them first. Or you can find another way to make it work so they can still get to where they need to get to. Now, a lot of times, what we have in this culturally too, with a lot of East Asian, South Asian, whatever have you, is that obligation and that responsibility for the elderly parent right now. It's happening so much for a lot of people, right? Taking care of them. And the parents themselves put that guilt, put that obligation on their children. They are doing that in a fear rooted moment. When we talk about our souls coming here to learn lessons, sometimes if you're doing, not sometimes, when you do things out of fear, guilt, and obligation, truly, you're also stunting their spiritual growth, because maybe they are meant to learn how to open themselves up to get help from somebody else, how to open themselves up to allow you to grow more. Because a lot of times the parents have held on to what your role should be. There's a lot of people out there right now that feel contracted and feel very stuck because of that elderly parent obligation. There's tons of them going through it right now. And sometimes doesn't matter the age, because this is a soul level thing. That parent, whether or not it makes them mad or annoys them, or you think in your head, hey, they're so old, I mean, how can I do that? It's a soul level practice where they also need to allow themselves to grow. And it can be hard because it's meant to contract you to allow you to expand and get that freedom.
Mm.
So, one solid step is I want you to just ask yourself, am I doing what I'm doing out of fear, guilt, and obligation? From what I eat to what I text to where I go to what I do for a living. Can you say everything that you're doing makes you feel expansive and happy? Or do you feel very contracted? And that's with work too. Not, oh, I feel so contracted because I go to work because I need to feed my kids. Because yeah, you do, but how do you look at that? You feel abundant. I've grown this family and I get to take care of my kids, so I have this job that allows me to do that. That's one way of viewing it that can make you feel very expansive. And then there's other ways that you can start viewing it that make you feel very contractive. So it's just about, how do you perceive your life? What are you perceiving? Can you change that? And why are you doing what you're doing in all aspects? Just, if everybody could take an hour to sit down and do a life review and just ask themselves that question, it would be tremendously eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah, since you mentioned about like going to work, I know some people in the audience might say, yeah, I don't like my job, but I still have to go. I cannot say no to my boss. I cannot say no to not going to work. Because the question is, can you say that everything you do is expensive and it's joyous, right? Or is abundant?
Yeah, that internal. The internal verbiage is so important. But one thing is, when I said makes you feel expansive, never said it will also always make you feel joyous, because sometimes those expansive things can be scary. Now, those things can be scary, such as say that you have to give a speech.
Mm,
It's going to be so empowering for you, but you're scared to give the speech, but you're not doing it out of fear. So you feel fear doing it. For instance, if I said go in front of a stage of 500 people and you feel like, oh, I can't imagine my message is getting out in front of all these people, like that makes you feel very open and expansive, right?
yeah.
The idea of stepping on that stage can scare you. That can still be scary, but you're not doing that speech out of fear, guilt, or obligation. You're doing it out of an expansive feeling, even though it can render feelings of being fearful. So you could feel fear doing it, but you're not doing it because of fear. You can feel dread going to work, but you're not doing it out of dread. And the thing is, you can always change the situation that you're in when you change how you perceive it. There's times in life where everything inside of you can change and everything outside of you looks exactly the same. It's how you perceive it. And if you got into that job because of fear, guilt, and obligation, then that's one thing. Then you took yourself out of alignment to do that. And it will only go on so long before you're going to get to a state of needing to make some sort of a change. It always, no matter what you pick, it's always going to get you back to a point of making a decision. And sometimes you don't make that decision because you are scared or because you need to do something. And if you're dreading work, then do something to help you get out of that state that makes you feel expansive. Small steps. Doesn't mean that you're stuck in that one workplace. There's other things that you can always do or you can start to do to help you lift those feelings. And if you don't feel like that's ever possible, then you can always change the way that you're looking at it. And if you cannot change the way that you're looking at it, it means that you're attached to the meaning you've assigned it. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yes, that's so powerful.
Because here's one thing. There's only one problem in this entire world, and there's only one solution. So let's simplify it for the entire audience that's going through anything. Okay, we're gonna call out everybody's problem because it's all the same, and then we'll give them all the solution. And this is your life solution. Okay, everybody, we'll give it to you. The one cause of any problem is attachment, and the one solution to every single problem is detachment. And that could be the situation and or the meaning and or the perception. Because we have that power. When you hear a lot of people, you've had spiritual people on, when you hear that we're the creators of our own life, that's in truth what it means, because we're given this blank canvas. Yes, we have people that have painted before us and told us where the tree should go, where the sun goes, but we don't have to follow that path, right? We can dictate our painting, and we can change the narrative of our story, and we can change the meaning behind different things and circumstances and doing what we want to do. A big one right now is marriage. There's just so many people that are choosing not to have kids, not to get married, not to they're changing it, they're redefining it for themselves, and that's just going to keep happening more and more as we go forward in all aspects. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So all our problems are because we attach to the meaning that we have assigned. I
Yeah.
think that answers everything. So the other thing I want to talk to you about, which I cannot wait, you describe energy as language as patterns. So I'm not sure whether we have already talked about it, but I think no. So can you share what that means? And yeah, what does it mean?
Yeah, one of after the awakening, one of the abilities that I got was that when I sat with people, I was able to see their soul patterns when they speak to me. It's almost like I see it between the lines of what they're saying. So you can sit down and you could tell me what your problem is. And then I channel from source questions to ask you. And as you tell me, it's almost like I'm downloading a separate file from what you're saying, which is your soul information. So I could tell you the patterns that you keep repeating that you're meant to expand out of in this lifetime. So for some people, they go from one end to another end, and their soul pattern is to find the middle ground and bridge that gap for other people. That's their gift to the world. But it goes much more in depth in a personal manner. So for me, it's just this. Sometimes it comes through. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Matrix and all the numbers and the way that it shows up. Sometimes it comes through kind of like that, where I'm able to attach from this vibration to this, where they're stuck and why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. And so it's a frequency level understanding that I receive about the individual when they allow me to go into their frequency and their energy. And sometimes it's a pattern level, so it will show me all the patterns they keep repeating that they don't understand that they're repeating. And when I give them that clarity, then they can transform. Because, like I said, you can't really transform without the clarity. You have to know, understand who you are, and that takes time. You have to, there's steps to get to that level, because there's so much information. If when somebody sits with me and I tell them everything at once, they can't absorb it and make sense of it, right? They need that breakdown to understand, what are your belief systems, why are they there, what caused these things to happen, and then there's steps to get them to a place of transformation. But for me, that's been a big blessing, but it's also, just in that same sense, been a challenge, because sometimes when you do see that and you want to help somebody and you can see the pattern and you can tell them exactly, like, just do this and then it's going to fix A, B, and C, but you can't tell people what to do. You can give them the clarity that they need, you can show them the steps that they need, but you can't tell them, right? And so I had to learn myself to kind of strip away, allow everybody to come to it when they come to it, when it's their time, because in a sense it's kind of like having x-ray vision and being able to really go in deep without that filter, and help them in that way.
You're so right, because we all have our own blind spots, and so often we can tell other people their patterns, we can recognize their patterns, but we can't see ours, so how can we, of course, the one way is to work with people like you, right, to help us recognize the pattern and break free from it. But how can we, as individuals, on an individual level, on just day-to-day basis, how can we start to recognize our own patterns so that we can have more clarity, or even make a change?
Yeah, when we go back to the fear, guilt, and obligation. And so when you go back to that, because those are the three cores that all constrictive type of energy stems from, really, in our human experience. So when we take that fear, guilt, and obligation, and we start to see when and why we feel those things, you'll start to gauge your patterns. You'll start to see, oh, for me, it's more of a familial guilt, where I'm really embedded in what others think of me and things like that. So it's just retraining the way that you're perceiving all of your situations. And when you get to understand why, then you can start to gain that clarity. And that doesn't happen all at once either. It happens through multiple channels and challenges that you go through. And there's going to be different times when you think that you have it figured out and something else will come and challenge you. And then you have to go in and find out for that one what it is too. But as you make that a part of your life, to start to see, oh, I feel this, what's causing it, then you can start to track your patterns. Then you can start to take inventory and really get to know yourself better on a more deeper soul level.
Right. Yeah. And let's talk about stigma.
Yeah.
I know there's something that you want to talk about, that the stigma attached to having a spiritual gift. And so I think that's also one of the reasons why it's holding people back from going on a spiritual path. Even learn more about, like even seeing a psychic, having a healing session. Like there's so much stigma around it, and even some of my friends, They call themselves practical, they call themselves realist because they don't believe in spirituality, they don't believe in the unseen. So that's created so much stigma, woo woo around spirituality, around people with spiritual gifts. So what would you like to say for this?
It's been how we've been trained to see spirituality and see psychics in the media. That's where it's really stemmed from. It stemmed from it being something where it's just about predicting the future. And it's been they have the answers from the tarot cards and things like that, but they're not realizing that it's very intuitive. And what they've come to see is it's almost a joke, like a running joke, right? Okay, so you're psychic, you could see this happening, you could see that happening. But it's really just listening to your intuition, being able to follow. When we say gut feeling, everybody says, oh, I just had a gut feeling that that was not the right move. The psychic would say, I'm intuitively telling you that I don't feel that this is the right move. It's the same feeling, it's the ones that have allowed themselves to really understand when they're having that feeling. And so it does get misconstrued. It gets very woo woo. It's so much more natural because when people are not in touch with their spiritual side, because it's funny when people do say I'm not spiritual or I don't believe in spirituality. It's we're all spirit,
Yeah,
we're all spirit. It's just a matter of how much do we practice, how much do we listen, how in tune are we to our spiritual side, and then bringing that through for a very normal, uh, every day to day lifestyle, just learning how that works. And so it's not the way it's been perceived. It's totally okay to go to an intuitive. It's just a little bit of insight and clarity. It's That's all it is. It's individuals that have tapped in and can clarify things, because when you're in a war, when you're on that ground level and the smoke and the dust is all over you, you can't see everything. But when somebody is able to come in with a bird's eye view, they can tell you, hey, this path is clear. And that's all it is. It's a different frequency, it's a different vibration, it's a different viewpoint. And there's multiple people right now and modalities too, such as tarot cards, such as meditation and hypnosis and all of these things that can help you view life just from a different frequency. So it's all frequency, and it does come back to a science and the quantum. It's just how we've been shown in movies and television, and that stigma that gets attached to it, but that's very, very quickly diminishing.
yeah. Intuition, right? It's all about listening to our intuitions. And I was just talking to you, about this before our recording. Like I still couldn't connect to my intuition, or I just couldn't trust, So, that is a reason why I always go to a psychic, have a session, or just talk to a spiritual teacher, because I feel like they have the answer. Why do I want to figure it out myself? Just go to someone. They will tell me, like I said, from a higher level, instead of me like trying to figure it out, right? So yeah, so for someone like people who just couldn't seem to connect with their intuition, other than meditation, because I know that's the answers that I would get, like just sit down, be quiet, and listen to yourself. Like I've done that so many times, I'm still not getting it. So what would be your way of doing it, like connecting with your intuition?
Yeah, a lot. The quickest way that you actually get detached, which is really important to know as well, because if you're trying to connect, you should know why you feel disconnected. And it's just because there's other things in your life that have turned up their volume too loud. And so they have too much of an attachment over you. So that could be outside things such as work or your day to day routines or whatever have you. So it's really time to yourself. Meditation as well doesn't have to be the traditional form where you see people just sitting with their eyes closed and in a meditative state. It could be things like playing your favorite sport. It could be things like washing the dishes or just relaxing. It's really when you can turn off outside noise and get into something that you enjoy. So, one of the ways that you can really get in touch with your intuition is to do something that you enjoy, something that you love to do. It could be swimming, it could be art, it could be going for a walk, it could be just sitting down and having a cup of tea or coffee or something like that. It's the moment when you're doing something that makes you feel joyous and you focus on that and you're not thinking about all the other stuff. It's those moments. It's finding those moments. The more that you tap into that, the more that you find those moments and you practice just doing those moments, the more that your intuition is able to come through. Because if I say, what is something you enjoy doing? And you say, I enjoy swimming. So you just go swimming. And when you're swimming, you're not thinking about, I have to do this and I have to cook this and I have to, you're not. You're in that flow. So it's getting, when we talk about flow and that intuitive flow and how time, when you're having fun and when you're not bound to something else, the time goes so fast. And when it goes so fast like that, and you go, wow, that, like, I was just reading this book and I got lost in it. Those moments when you have that in your life, when you're just in the moment, that's true meditation. That's true intuitive nature. That's when you're really going in. So you can get connected. Find what you enjoy doing and do more of that. It's that simple. It's just having those moments. And it's really the key. You don't have to sit, you don't have to meditate for hours on end. You don't have to close your eyes if that doesn't feel natural to you. What does? What does? And everybody's answer is so different. Some people love working out, some people love just spending time in nature. It just depends.
Mm. I love that. But why is finding those moments so important? Like, like those tiny moments, just tiny, right? Why is it so important?
It's because it's a moment where you feel expansive. When you can find the things that you enjoy doing or not doing, either or, that could even just be driving. When you're driving home from work and you have that moment of just you in the car, just listening to music and relaxing. It's you need that because right now we're in a state where there's so much going on. There's so much expectation. There's so much to do. It's a never-ending list. People are not allowing themselves to breathe, to really just be. And when you meditate, you're meant to just be free, enjoy what you're doing, go out and get into that flow rhythm. And the more that you are in that state of flow, the more that you're in that state of abundance and expansion, the more it's going to come to you in different forms. Because those are the times when the ideas come. Those are the times when inspiration hits, when rejuvenation hits, when you are able to tap in to your intuition, your psychic downloads essentially is what it is.
Mm. You're saying we can also receive downloads.
Yeah.
We can receive messages
Yeah.
from the source, right?
Think about it like this. When you get the download, it could be something such as, oh, I think I saw a book that I really want to read. It could be, oh, I feel inspired to do this, or I want to travel here, those are downloads. There's reasons that you're feeling that in a moment. It's not coming from a stress or a fear or a guilt or an obligation. You're in a state of abundance, you're in a state of flow, of enjoyment. And then these inspirations are coming. And sometimes it's not that actual thing that ends up panning out, but it takes you somewhere that will take you somewhere that will take you somewhere that will get you to where you're meant to be to feel the thing that you want to feel in this life and experience. So the more that you have that, the more you'll notice these intuitive things. And I know it sounds like that's strange. That's synchronous,
Yeah.
these synchronicities. Yeah, it is strange. It is weird. And it does happen like that. It
Mm.
does happen like that. And that's when you start to notice these things. And that's when you start to get in more in tune with yourself.
Yeah. Right. Wow, this is so interesting. And, I learned so much today from you. And I love talking to you about all these things.
Yeah, I love sharing.
This is making me feel so alive, to be honest. And this is why I do podcasts, because it's just like you said, this is one of the moments that I really enjoy, and really can be present, not thinking about any other things, right? Yeah, I can talk to you for hours, and I want to talk to you for hours, but I want to respect your time. So, is there anything that you really want to talk about, as I didn't ask you or didn't let you?
I think right now it's just a time of a lot of people going inwards, and I think that the realization of why it's happening and why the shift in consciousness is happening is really, really important. I think that um, to understand that, they would have to also understand the Piscean era that we've come out of, and we've gone into the Aquarian era. I think that might be an episode, a next episode type of thing, because there's quite a bit to it. But there is a shift happening. So if you are feeling that things are shifting for you, things are changing for you, you feel a sense of lost in your sense of self. You feel disconnected from your religion. That's been another big thing, a disconnection from family. There is a reason that it's happening. Nothing is wrong with you. And things that you're going through, you're not broken, because there's a lot of healing culture right now. So that's really important too, is that you're not broken. Don't think that you have to approach healing from that type of a viewpoint. Understand that it's happened to get you to another place of expansion. It's beautiful. It might not always feel beautiful. It might not ever feel beautiful, but when you get out the other side, it is. And that's coming from not somebody that's just saying it because I'm a spiritual teacher, but it's truly been a lived experience for me. And so that's why I'm able to speak on it, that there is another side to it. There's so much power. You're being called to discover yourself. And that could mean things like those moments that we just talked about, where you do something that you enjoy and you allow for flow. And I understand if people are going through hard times, that sometimes that doesn't feel possible for them, but it's just anything that's small. Even if you're brushing your teeth in the morning, sing your favorite song, listen to a podcast that you get lost in or you enjoy. Any little thing to bring you back to a sense of self. And if you are completely lost, then there are a lot of modalities, a lot of people out there right now that can help. So I understand that, as we talked about the stigma with psychics and things like that, find where you are and what makes sense for you in that moment. There is somebody right now shining their light wherever you are to help you through it. There's help out there, there's information, and there's a reason why they're going through what they're going through.
That's beautiful. I mean, everything you shared today is just so beautiful,
Thank
so
you.
well put. And I really, thank you for the work that you do to help humanity and everyone, our brothers and sisters. So I tell my people, I'm sure a lot of my listeners are interested to learn more about your work and maybe even having the possibility of working with you. So what do you offer?
Yeah, so I've got one-on-one sessions, but I also have programs that will take you from really learning about yourself and transforming your life. So if you're interested, you could go to ashmitaarora.com. There's also resources on there, and we've just released, because there's a big shift happening. 2026, we're going to start to feel it, but 2027 is really when the world is going to shift. So I've put together 3 simple techniques to help you get more in tune with yourself. And they're so simple, but they're so powerful. So you can go onto my website and you can download it completely free and just keep it as a little guide. It's super simple, but it's those little things that just get you started on making that difference in your life. But yeah, if you're looking for something more in depth, more in terms of clarity and transformation, then I would say check out the sessions that I have available. They're very, very powerful.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, thank you so much again for coming and for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, if this conversations spoke to you, share it with someone you love, friends and family, because you never know that actually needed this to hear these words. And I will put all the links in the show note below, so make sure you visit the show note and visit her website, give her a follow, and thank her for coming to our show today. And remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Thank you again for tuning into Find Joy Joyan podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and take Find Joy Joyan _podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.